Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and welcome to my tutorial for the Windows 10 version of the tutorial for modify your web page, commit, pull, and push. Okay, so we've already had a Windows 10 version of the clone using SourceTree, and now we're going to do the modify. We've had a peek at the modify and the commit, but we haven't done any pulling or pushing yet. So we're going to review the modify and the commit, and we're going to do pulling and pushing. So let's review a bit. Where is our repository on our local machine? Well, it's just a plain old directory that was placed under the documents folder when we created it. So typically it has the same name as the repository does up on Bitbucket, Senior Capstone Spring of 2019. And if we double click and open it up, we'll see that it has all the content that we're expecting, plus it has this metadata directory called .git, which holds all the metadata files that allows Git to do the magic that it does in treating this directory as a repository. Okay, and then the other thing that we've got and we've been working with is the SourceTree client for Git. So now we're going to open up that. And SourceTree is a free application. It was created by Atlassian Software, the same people who brought you Bitbucket. And it is a graphical client for Git. So if we wanted to, we could use Git at the command line. And in fact, when we get to working on our server in a week or so, we're going to have to use it at the command line. But for right now, we're using a Windows 10 version of the SourceTree graphical client. Okay, and if we want to see the history of the repository, well, we can go down to this branches part. We can close that up and open up. And again, on a complex project where you've got, say, the current version of the software, and then you have the next release of the software, and maybe the release after that, you might have more than one branch, okay? A simple project always has just a master branch, and that's what we have. So if we click on the master branch, we can see the version control history of the master branch. And we can see that we've already made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commits. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now, let's go over and take a look at the file status. File status is in the upper part of this navigation panel, and within that, when we want to look at our working copy, that's the current state of our directories. It says nothing to commit, so there are no changed files. You can see up here on the very top we have a push and we have a 2. That's because we have 2 commits that we made in an earlier tutorial, and we committed them to our local copy of the repository, but we haven't pushed them up to the remote repository. And we're going to push everything up together in a couple minutes. But let's make a couple more changes. Okay, so we're within this file status category. we're on the working copy, and you can see that we don't have any changes. So let's go make a couple of changes. Okay. And I can't emphasize enough that when we're making changes, we're working in normal directory. Okay, and what are you going to do when you work on your assignment? Well, you're going to open up the students directory. You're going to find your file. Okay, and you're going to open it up. So if you were Willie Larks, you would right click, say open with, and I've already had to choose another app in order to say I want to work with WordPad. So the first time you do this, you have to give it the suggestion that you might want to use WordPad. But since I've already used it on another .html file, it gives me as one of the things I can choose. So I pick WordPad. And here we're going to see the page for Willie Larks, which should only be changed by Willie Larks. And which content is he going to change? Well, he's going to change the content here under the student heading. Okay. And in particular, this paragraph that we have here that has this italicized text to remind him to change the content there. And we just want him to put in some kind of appropriate content and to save the changes. So he'll save the changes. We don't have any changes, so it's not going to see those as a change. Okay. What can I change that will be a change? Well, you know what I could change? I could go back up a directory and I could go into instructors. Okay. And go into my page, open with WordPad. Okay. And it's going to open up. And you can see down here that I've got, this is the third version of the content for Kevin. So I don't really like this kind of stuff. I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to say, welcome to the shared content repository for the senior Capstone class in the spring 2019 semester. I am Kevin Trainer. You can find out more about me at my website, and then I'm going to have a link. So I'm going to have a tag href equals http s/www.ligent.net. It's my little consulting firm, and I'm going to end this start tag here. Okay, and then I'm going to end the anchor tag here. And you know what? I'm just going to say my website. I'm going to put that, have that be the text between these two. Okay, my website, and then I'll have a period that won't be part of the link. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to save that. Okay, and close it. And let's just double click it so it'll open up in Edge. That wasn't what I was expecting at all. Oh, here we go. It's going to open up. So if we click on my website, we go to, hopefully to my website. There it is. And you can find out a lot more about me. Okay, that looks good. All right, so that's everything I wanted to do. Oh, I keep shrinking this whole thing. Here it is. Sorry about that, guys. Uh, so I want to shrink that. Okay, so let's go over, let's open up SourceTree and see what it says. So I'm on the working copy. Okay. I've got one changed file. Okay. I'm going to commit. I've only got one file, so I'm going to commit everything at once. So I'm going to click Stage All to put this into staged mode, and it's going to come up here, and you can see my file. And again, regardless if it's in the upper window or the lower window, when you click on a file that you've changed, you'll see in pink, you'll see the lines that are deleted, and in green you'll see the lines that are added. And again, a change for these guys is a delete and an add. Okay, so let's do one more commit. Let's say commit, and now we can put in our comment and say make change to Kevin's instructor page during Windows 10 modify etc. tutorial. Okay, so we can commit. Okay, and now we're committed. Well, that's great. So one of the things that you can see here is that there are no uncommitted changes. Okay, so that means our local repository knows about all the changes that we've made and we've committed to them. If we want to back them out, then we've got to go and back them out of our local repository. On the other hand, if we're confident in all the changes that we've made, we still haven't pushed them up to the remote repository. Well, it turns out to be pretty easy to do. There's a row of buttons up here. We've been using the commit. We're going to click on the push, but we're always going to pull before we push. So let's do that. We're going to pull, and we're going to say, okay. Okay. And there shouldn't be anything up here because it's not until tomorrow that I'm really going to show people that this is all ready to work with. And so I don't think anybody has changed the repository since we cloned it. Okay. But if there were changes, they would come down and then turn right around immediately and do a push. So you click on push, and it wants the master branch. That's all we work with. Then you click on push again, and you'll see kind of the the behavior that you just saw, except that it says it's pushing. Now, why do you pull before you push? Well, because if you push into a repository that's been updated, it's going to want you to resolve that fact through merging changes. Now, it just so happens in our little project, no two people are working on the same page. Okay? So we never get to the point where we have two people who are trying to change the same page, and one of them, the first one, gets to push their change up to the remote repository, but then the second has to merge in the changes from the first. And that's a little tricky. That's not something that we're teaching right now. Not too hard to do. Plenty of tutorial material on it. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to sort of accidentally get out of sync with the repository when we know that any change that we pull down isn't going to try to overlay things that we've changed. Okay? And think of when people are going to be using their repository. The assignments are due at the end of the day on Sunday. So when will people be doing this? Well, Sunday after dinner, because that's what human nature is. So people will be pushing up a lot of changes pretty quickly. So again, when you're ready to push, do a pull and say okay, and let that resolve. It's running a little slow here. At the same time that I'm recording this tutorial, I'm doing the upload of the last one to YouTube. So we have a lot of internet contention. And then right when it comes back, do a push. Now, we don't have anything to push, so we're not going to do that push now. But always pull before you push. Theoretically, this product is reaching out to the repository, and if it sees there are things to be pulled, it'll put a little number up here. But I've had plenty of times when there wasn't a number up here and there were things to be pulled. So just to be safe, always do a pull and then immediately do your push. And again, you should never have a conflict because we're only changing our own files. Okay? So it should work just fine. Okay, now we're done here. We can close the SourceTree client. Okay, and we can close the file Explorer. Let's get on Edge and let's go look. How are we going to know that we've changed our content? I mean, we can look at the content here on our own machine. We can just go to the file system, right, and go to Documents and our repository. Then I can go to Instructors and open my page. I can see that it's been changed here, but how do I know that it's up there, that my push actually worked other than the tool said that it did? Well, it's not that hard to do, okay? Here's what you can do. You can log on to your Bitbucket account again and click on the repository, okay? And as you can see, the first category under the repository is called source, and this allows you to look at the source code. Now, in the good old days, it only allowed you to look at the source code, and that's all I recommend you ever do with it, okay? So we're just going to look at the source code and see that our code has actually changed. It's not till a subsequent assignment that we're going to learn how to do a pull onto our SOS web server account so that we all have a copy of the website on our own SOS web server account. And we can simply navigate to the URL for that and look at the site. But for now, we're going to look at the source. So I just want to warn you that they've added capabilities where you can change the source, you can commit your changes, you can do these things in this web app. Don't do it, okay? It only brings heartbreak. First of all, it's not the version, it's not the workflow that we're learning in this course. Second, I've had so many students go, oh, this is a bright idea, I'll do it right here. Well, that's not the skill I want you to demonstrate, okay? And also, for some reason, it just gets kind of stuck, okay? And we get changes that have been made in this browser, and they're not committed. Oh, it's just a mess. But for looking at the source, it's perfect. So go to source, okay, and go to students and find your page. I'm going to find the page for sample student. He should be here pretty soon, or she should, depending upon whether it's a he or she. And I don't think I ever really decided. We'll say it's a she. And we'll look down, and there's the new content. I added this content during the Windows 10 clone repository tutorial. So it's definitely been changed. And what else can I look at? We'll go back up to source, look at instructors. I know I just changed mine, so look at that. And this is the one with the link. And you can see that. And that we just did. We didn't do that a couple of times ago. And that's all. Okay. Do you have to go check? No, you don't. I find that students, if I have an on-campus class and they're working on it, about 4 or 5 students will come up during the class and go, I can't see that I've changed it. I want to see that I've changed it. So I've now added this so that you know that you can go and inspect the source and see that you've changed it. When we get to the next assignment, you're going to learn how to pull it to your SOS web server account. That'll be fun. So we're done. We have done. We were trying to do a combination of modify your web page, commit it, do a pull, do a push. It's all done. So I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye-bye.